Stocks on Wall Street closed the session higher. The Dow hits a record high, again gaining almost 500 points at close. The S&P 500 also closes at a new record high. The Asia-Pacific markets are mixed as investors watch out for inflation data from Australia. The GIFT Nifty is indicating a lower start for the Indian markets. US President Donald Trump says Venezuela to give up to 50 million barrels of oil to the US, which will be sold at market price, and the resultant money will be controlled by him as the president to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. Crude oil prices fall as a result. The US president also warns that Republicans must win the 2026 midterm elections or else he will get impeached by Democrats. And on India, he says Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not happy with him due to tariffs imposed by Washington on India for its purchases of Russian oil. Oil prices have extended their losses after President Donald Trump said that Venezuela would send some crude to the US. Meanwhile, gold inches closer to record levels as geopolitical risks lift safe haven demand. Silver prices also are at new record highs. And the government is set to announce the first advance estimates of GDP for FY 25-26 at 4 p.m. this evening. This is the first formal step to making the budget. A CNBC TV 18 poll pegs FY 26's real GDP at 7.5%, while the RBI sees growth at 7.3%. Good morning. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Center. I'm Hormuz Fatakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets have started off in midweek trading. And contrary to the handover on Wall Street, it's a fairly subdued picture across the Asia Pacific. Most of the markets trading with losses. The Hang Seng trading around 0.6% lower. The Taiwanese index 2 down 0.3%. The Japanese index, the Nikkei, is trading with losses of close to around 0.5%. The only outperformer, though, is Kospi in South Korea, which is trading with gains of close to 1%. So, barring the Kospi and the Shanghai Composite, which is trading marginally above the flat line, most of the other Asian indices are trading with losses this morning. Pull up the GIFT Nifty. They'll give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. Well, an 80-point downtick. Well, we ended off the highs of the day yesterday, almost close to the lows of the day. And today's session also indicating a negative start for our own markets as of now. And this 80-point downtick is what the implied open is suggesting. So we most probably open around that very important support zone of 26,100. We'll hear more on that on what the FNO data is indicating in just a bit. But we'll set you up for trade today with the trade setup, the stocks that are likely to be on the radar, and of course, Sudarshan tells you all the FNO cues that you need to watch out for as well. But first up, let's go across to Gaurav with all the market cues that you should be watching out for today. Gaurav, good morning. What are you watching out for?
Well, good morning. When we look at Nifty, we saw second consecutive day where actually we saw losses in Nifty and Nifty ended in red. In fact, on the last trading session, it was down almost by 0.3%, and now it has suggested, now the option data which is that 26,200 and 26,000 are the key levels to watch out for, specifically on the basis of options writing. When it comes to the key draggers for Nifty, yesterday we saw Trent, Reliance Industries, ITC and HDFC Bank, who were heavy lifters and who also dragged Nifty down, and that is the reason why we will be definitely watching out on all these counters today. Apart from that, if you look at sector-wise data, yesterday was a good day for Nifty Pharma. It was up more than 1.7%, and this was led by Divi's Lab and Ipca Labs, while on the other hand, Nifty Media saw a bit of a decline with 1% decline in a day. Other than that, on the stock-wise action, let's not forget about IEX today, because yesterday we saw Aptil said that the next hearing will be on Friday, and after that we saw at the end of the session IEX stock soared up almost as high as 8%. Other than that, at all-time high, we have seen Nalco, SBI, Hindalco, Marico, Muthoot Finance on the back of the gold prices, and Tata Steel. So let's watch out for all these stocks and how they perform in a day-to-day. On the back of the results, we have got premium energies and infrastructure today, and that is something that market will be watching out for. When it comes to events, as you suggested, today will be the first day when we will see first advanced estimates for GDP of FY26. Remember, our poll suggests that it will be somewhere 8.3% in terms of nominal GDP. So let's see how they perform, because if it comes above 8%, India will remain as the key market with higher growth across the globe. And lastly, let's also not forget about the US data points that we'll be getting. First is that non-farm employment change, job opening and crude oil inventory. So let's watch out for all these events and let's see how they have a grip on Indian market today.
Gaurav, thank you for sharing that update with us. And over to Ria now, who would list out the stocks that should be on your radar today. Ria, good morning.
Well, good morning, Homer. Starting off with yet another set of Q3 updates. First up is Godrej Consumer. The India business is set to deliver double-digit revenue growth, and the company has also seen close to double-digit underlying volume growth this time around. For Jubilant Food, the consolidated revenue has gone up by roughly 13% on a year-on-year basis, and for Titan, they have seen 38% domestic sales growth and 79% growth in the international sales as well. For Lotha Developers, the pre-sales has gone up by roughly 25%, while the collections have seen a decrease of 17% on a year-on-year basis. For Senco Gold, the revenue has gone up by roughly 51%, and this was largely led by higher gold prices as well as the festive season. Moving away from the Q3 updates, IRB Infra will be in focus since IRB Infra Trust has received an LOA from the NHAI for a toll project in Odisha, and this also involves a bid concession payment fee of roughly 3,087 crores. Biocon will also be in focus. An arm of the company is going to introduce 3 new oncology biosimilars at a healthcare conference in the US, and M&M will also be in focus. They have unveiled the 3XO EV, which starts at roughly rupees 13.89 lakhs, and the deliveries are set to be starting in late February of this year. And the last stock that will be in focus today is Bector Foods. The company has commenced production at its new Hooghly facility, which has a daily production capacity of roughly 2.25 lakh buns and 24,000 SKUs of bread and other bakery items as well.
Thank you for that update there. And just to clarify, the other one, the stock that Gaurav was mentioning was Premier Energy and Infrastructure, not the Premier Energies that is the renewable energy manufacturer, of course. But yeah, thank you for that update. And lastly, Sudarshan joins in with cues from the FNO space. Sudarshan, good morning. We managed to defend that 26,150 mark on the index multiple times yesterday. But what's the FNO data indicating now?
Good morning, Harma. So yesterday we saw that big contribution coming in from heavyweights. We saw Reliance dragging Nifty and HDFC Bank dragging Nifty Bank. But Nifty Bank managed to close in the green thanks to the big gains coming in. Stocks like ICICI Bank and SBI and all the other PSU banks continue to see buying. As far as Nifty is concerned, 26,100 is the major support for Nifty. So near-term range for Nifty is likely to be 26,100 to 26,500. Tough for Nifty to cross 26,200 today because the major call writing we have seen at levels around 26,200, 26,250, even 26,300. On the flows front, we have seen FIs in the index futures just have done a minor buying of 55 crore, but in the stock futures, they continue to sell. Yesterday also we have seen them selling almost 1,100 crore rupees. As far as the longs are concerned, they have added long positions of around 2,700 contracts, but at the same time, they have also added short positions of 2,600 contracts. There is a minor increase in the long exposure from 11% to 13%. On the short side, they remain heavily shorted and the exposure is 87%. Now coming to the options data, 26,200 and 26,500. Most active call options have seen an increase in the open interest, but for both these call options, premium has seen a fall. On the put side, 26,200 and 26,000. These were the most active put options where we have seen an increase in the premium. So that's the reason I've told you the range 26,100 to 26,000. So support, I'll look around first support 26,100, but if we fail to hold that, next support comes around 20-day moving average of 26,000. Resistance will remain around record high of 26,370. As far as Nifty Bank is concerned, support today 59,850. Yesterday also intraday low, Nifty Bank recovered from 59,840, same low that it had hit on Monday, and resistance would remain around record high. Two stocks remain in the bank, Saman Capital and Sales. Some of the stocks, Premium Energies and Wari, it was consecutively like these two stocks have been seeing a downtick. Yeah, I won't be surprised if there is a further downfall or further fall in both the names. MCX will be in the focus. It has been saying short covering. And lastly, Havels and Lupin, both these names are saying fresh longs.
Indeed, Premier and Wari now 9th day of losses for Wari Energy yesterday. So we'll keep an eye out on all of these names. Sudarshan, thank you for that update there. I'll take a short break, get you all the developments from the White House in our special segment Trump Watch on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Getting you the latest on all the Donald Trump related developments. We have Vinny joining in for our special segment, Trump Watch.
Hi, Hormaz. Good morning. Thanks so much for that. Now, let's start with the latest update that's coming from President Trump, his comments on India. And speaking at the House, a GOP member reiterates that Trump referred to his interaction with PM Modi while discussing the tariff and said that even though he has a very good relationship with the Indian Prime Minister, but he said Modi may not be too happy due to the high tariffs on the country that they're paying and that we are paying on Russian oil purchases. That is there. Listening.
The Apache helicopter. I mean, I had India coming to me, sir, I've been waiting 5 years. We're changing it. We're changing it. India ordered 68 Apaches, and Prime Minister Modi came to see me. Sir, may I see you, please? Yes, I have a very good relationship with him. He's not that happy with me because, you know, they're paying a lot of tariffs now because they're not doing the oil, but they are. They've now reduced it very substantially, as you know, from Russia.
And in a very interesting move, President Trump has warned Republicans in the United States House of Representatives that if the party fails to win a majority in November's midterm elections, he will get impeached. Speaking to the legislators, he stressed on importance of keeping control of the chamber where his party has a razor-thin majority. Listen in.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. If you have the right president, it's good. You have the wrong president, you know, if you have the wrong president, nothing's good. Tariffs are the least of your problems. We found that out for 4 years. We had the worst president, did the worst job. They had the worst policy. We have to even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator.
And 3 days after U.S. forces captured Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, Donald Trump said interim authorities in Venezuela will turn over between 30 million to 50 million barrels of oil to the United States. The proceeds will be controlled by the president to benefit both the nations, with Energy Secretary saying tasked to execute this immediately.
Emmanuel said to me, Donald, you have a deal. I would love to increase my prescription drug prices by 200% or whatever. I would love to do it. It'd be such an honor. Whatever you want, Donald, please. Don't tell the population. Please, Donald, I beg you. Every country said the same thing. No, 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 we will not do this. Some were strong, some were very nice, some were rude. But they all said one thing, no, we won't. And within, I'd say on average, 3.2 minutes, they were all saying, we would be honored to quadruple our drug prices.
That was Trump Watch. Vinny, thank you for that. That was Donald Trump on a whole host of issues, right from tariffs to the midterms and even mocking the French President Macron. Now, the session in Wall Street was another positive one. We've had 3 sessions on Wall Street so far in 2026, and all 3 of them have resulted in gains. The Dow ended another 500 points higher last night, closing above the mark of 49,000. The S&P 500 also closed at a record high. The Nasdaq also ended higher, but is still 500 points away from a record high of its own. CNBC's Steve Kovac gets us a wrap of all the action on Wall Street.
U.S. markets were up across the major indexes in Tuesday's trading, with the Dow closing above 49,000 for the first time ever, and the S&P hitting another all-time high. The Dow, up 1% today, gained 485 points. The S&P 500 was up 43 points, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq added 151 points. Meta wrote in a blog post Tuesday it is delaying the global rollout of its Ray-Ban display glasses because of limited inventory and huge demand in the United States. Meta says it's pausing plans to launch in the UK, France, Italy, and Canada to concentrate on fulfilling those U.S. orders. The $799 glasses let users watch videos or respond to messages and is controlled through a wristband. And NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps announced Tuesday he's resigning after more than 20 years with the largest racing series in the U.S. Phelps became commissioner just last year, but calls for his resignation increased after a bitter antitrust trial brought by two racing teams against NASCAR. That's what's happening here in the U.S. Back to you, Mumbai.
Steve Kowak, thank you for that update there. Let's now listen to Mohammad Al-Ryan, who is the Chief Economic Advisor at Allianz, who shares his views on the U.S. economy and expectations from the U.S. Fed as the latest jobs data comes out on Friday.
So first, there's a clear signal that the labor market is decoupling from growth. So growth remains really solid, but the labor market is not keeping up with that growth. Job creation is not keeping up with that growth. That is the big dilemma we're having, which is this decoupling. Beyond that, the Fed is torn. You know as well as I do that if you're worried about inflation, there's reasons to be worried. If you're worried about your second part of your mandate, there's reasons to be worried. You have federal officials that have different sensitivities, so they're all over the place, and you have no strategic or leadership unifiers in this mix. So the Fed is going to be very divided regardless of what comes out on Friday.
Take a short break. Cues from the commodities market on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and now to tell you how precious metals are this morning and a lot of other commodity updates. Manisha is here with all the latest. Manisha, good morning.
Morning, Hormuz. Well, it's all very, very precious, really, because we're looking at an all-time high yet again in case of silver, and this time around we've crossed above $83 an ounce. Would be interesting to see on how the Indian markets open, because overnight we've already done 2,59,000 rupees. So I'm assuming we're going to be opening around that. So with these kind of gains, we've seen silver gain up by 15% in the previous 1 week. It's up by nearly that much for the year as well. If you look at the gold prices, it has been a stronger going for that as well. Overnight, 2% of gains onto this one. It is about geopolitical tensions. It also is about the US dollar decline, and that has been supportive. But not just about that. It's copper, which is also trading at record highs. COMEX, LME, Indian markets have hit all-time highs. There are threat of US tariffs on copper. It also has to do with the China Securities Company, which says that the global markets will see a shortage of more than 100,000 tons in this current year. That clearly has been supportive. You have nickel trading at a 15-month highs. Aluminum is now surged above $3,100 a ton, which is a 3-year highs, a new 3-year highs coming in for that one as well. So the fund allocations clearly favoring metals as we see it right now.
Manisha, thank you for that update there. And the latest update that came in this morning was US President Donald Trump stating that Venezuela is going to give around 50 million barrels of oil to the US, which will be sold at market price, and the resultant money will be controlled by him. Here's some opinion from Randall Krosner, a professor at the University of Chicago, on this latest announcement.
It's clear that President Trump has said that this is about energy, about oil. That's a very important part of what the intervention was about, and opening up the spigots once again to allow the Venezuelan crude to come to the Gulf in the U.S., where we have refining capacity that is really focused on the kind of heavy viscous crude that comes out of Venezuela. So it makes sense. I can see from his point of view that it makes sense to say, well, got the oil there. Why did we do the intervention? We did it to free up this oil to be able to come to be refined in the U.S. And he seems to be getting the cooperation of the local authorities to be able to do that.
Just before we take a leave on this edition of Power Breakfast, a revisit on the Asian indices. The Nikkei in Japan is now at the lows of the day. The Kospi in South Korea is off the highs of the day. The Hang Seng has extended its losses, as has the Taiwanese index. So 0.7% lower now on Taiwan, and almost 1% lower on the Hang Seng as well. The Nikkei is down almost 0.6%. We'll pull up the GIF Nifty, and at one point the implied open was suggesting an 80-point downtick, still suggesting an 80-point downtick. So most likely to open around the mark of 26,100 this morning. Take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast from me and the team. Thank you for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side to set you up for the day's trade.